This is titled, Your Yard is Now Our Park. My partner and I purchased the house next door to my best friend. I had lived with him for close to a decade when his kids were babies, so they viewed my house as an extension of theirs and were in and out all day, every day. I have a more flexible schedule than he and his wife, so I have them in the mornings, after school, and on days off of school. I had a pool in my yard, and because my friend's kids were still little, I installed a retractable cover and made sure it was locked so they couldn't open it. My friend's yard had one of those wood fort/climbing wall swing set deals and a larger sandbox. Throughout the year, we spent most evenings outside, grilling, drinking, and watching the kids play, swim, whatever. One summer day, I came home from work a little earlier than normal and started to prep for dinner. I heard a knock at my back door, which was odd, since my buddy's kids never knocked. I went to see who it was and discovered a mum and two kids who looked to be maybe 5 to 7 years old. As I opened the door, she informed me that her kids needed to use the bathroom and that I needed to come out and get the cover off my pool. I was confused and asked her to repeat herself, and she said that her kids needed to pee and that they were hot and bored with playing in the sandbox, so I needed to open up my pool. I asked her why she was in my friend's yard and what made her think her kids were welcome to swim in my pool, or use my bathroom for that matter. She got really bitchy and told me that she had moved into the house behind us and that she had watched my buddy's kids come over all of the time and I opened the pool for them. She insisted that since I was willing to open my pool for the kids next door, I should also open it for the children who lived behind me. I tried explaining the relationship between my best friend's family and mine. She claimed it didn't matter that I had known them since birth and pretty much had helped raise them. I just need to get to know her kids too and it would be a-okay. I told her no and closed the door on her. She spent a while knocking and cussing at me through the window, and then had her kids pee in a planter on the side of the patio. When I still didn't react, she took her kids back into my friend's yard to play in the swings. I texted him to let him know what was going on. Right at that moment, he was letting his £300 worth of new fees out into the yard without noticing the unwelcome visitors. The mum starts shrieking and climbs up into the fort, leaving both her kids on the swings. She starts demanding that we put the dogs inside, and how dare my friend let his dogs out into the yard when her kids are clearly playing there. He tells her to GTFO and calls the police. When the cops arrive, she put on the whole waterworks about how her kids are just looking for friends and my buddy's kids are somehow bullying her kids, even though they've never met, that he invited her just to let her dogs attack her children, blah blah blah. They eventually move her back onto her own property, then come back later to tell us they warned her about coming back. She lived in that house for almost a year before she and her husband divorced. No shit if she's like this. During that year, I had to replace the lock over the pool cover controls 3 times, have a fencing company remove a gate at the back of my property that was meant to let the lawnmower through, and eventually pay security company to come check on the yard anytime we were going to be away for more than a few hours. We found her and her kids in our yards repeatedly, but she'd leave when we got home. What finally resolved the issue was my partner catching her in the pool. She told him she knew the man that owned the house and that he would have to tell her it was okay to swim. He told her he was married to the man that owned the pool and that it was not okay to swim. She apparently had a bad reaction to realizing she was immersing her sons in gay water. We didn't see her again after that. I'm sorry, but to spend money just because some kids are playing in your pools, I know it's annoying, but would I go through that effort and waste money? Hell no. Whoever the guy was, he's smart. Tell the lady, I'm gay, so if you don't want your kids catching the gays, don't swim in my pool. And guess what? It was effective, because you know, everyone knows you can catch the gays. This one's titled, My Friend's Tits Are Offensive to an EM. Of course, an EM. Would it be an ED? So, basic information. Me and my best friends were in a beach, just chilling. One thing I need to inform is that my best friend is on the big-breasted side of the spectrum. So, like any big-breasted woman, bikinis are a nightmare for her. She always is stared at, and that makes her really uncomfortable. Now, to the story. Me and her were in a more secluded part of the beach. We had swam and we decided to sit a bit. When we come back to our chairs, a family has settled down near us. The mother was in her late 30s and the dad was in his early 50s, of course. They had a child with them, a 9-ish-year-old boy. Lucky him. We didn't pay any attention to them. We just sit on our chairs and talk for a bit. I noticed the dad of the family looking at my friend, but paid no mind. I decided to pick something to drink. There was a bar nearby. I asked my friend if she wanted something. She asked me for a lemonade. I go to the bar and see the EM coming near me. I waited in line until EM comes to talk to me. EM, entitled mother, me. A pink fluffy unicorn dancing in rainbows. EM, hi, I saw that you and your friend are nearby me and my family. I just nodded to her. I think your friend is really beautiful, but she is showing too much cleavage. I looked at her, trying to think what to respond to this. Me, well, she can't be faulted for being born with big breasts, can she? She looked at me like she was expecting me to agree with her. EM, well, she could not use her bikini that small, she said in a somewhat annoyed voice. Me, she can do whatever she wants, lady. She became red at that. I don't think that this woman has ever heard someone disagree with her before. EM, she is looking like a slut. My child will be traumatized. I looked back to where my friend is sitting. I have a clear view of her and the EM's family. Her child is doing sandcastles, a cute view, I might add. You nonce. And her husband is staring hard at my friend, who was passing sunscreen at the time. My guy. So, the problem was not her child, it was her husband. Me. Well, I can't do much, lady. Now please leave me alone. Finally, it was my turn. So I picked up my drinks and ignored the EM. She wasn't happy about it though. EM. Don't you dare ignore me, young man. I'm not finished. I just looked at her and took a sip of my drink before saying, Me, lady, your kid isn't even looking at my friend. Your husband, in the other hand, I pointed at her husband, who was staring at my friend with hungry eyes. Who wouldn't? She looked shocked and just started walking to her husband. I go to my friend, gave her drink and sit beside her. Watching the wife furious, whispers to her husband. Not long after, my friend and I decided to leave. I didn't tell my friend about the crazy lady. She has confidence issues enough. At least I didn't see this family ever again. This one's titled, EP angry that I won't be her family IT guy at work. I work IT for a small company. I support about 25 people total. Anything tech related owned by the company and I am involved in it. I like my job. Most of the folks working here are good people, even though some of them are very difficult to train on computers. EP is a middle-aged woman who, as far as I can tell, gets paid more than I do to do about 45 minutes worth of work a day that she stretches into a full 8-hour shift. She can't really even do that 45 minutes worth of work correctly most of the time, and I've had to come and retrain her on the software we use several times a month. EP also refuses to listen when I am helping her with tech issues and has something new to complain at me about every week. I'm told she only got the job because her dad and the owner of the company are old drinking buddies. Well, as annoying as EP is, I was able to mostly ignore her until this incident last week. I am in my office working on something when EP comes in with a laptop, some cables and an iPad. She sets them down on my desk and just looks at me without saying a word. Me, what's all this? EP, my son's laptop and my iPad are having trouble. Can you fix them? Me, sorry EP, I don't work on personal devices. If it isn't owned by the company, I won't work on it. You'll have to go to a shop or something. EP: oh come on, you fix this kind of stuff all the time. I bet it takes you 5 to 10 minutes tops to get them running. Then you can get back to whatever else you want to fix. Me: pushing the items back towards EP. Sorry EP, not happening. EP turning several shapes of purple and red at this point. What the hell is wrong with you? You sit around all day doing nothing, and when you finally come out of your office, it's to fix things that you obviously screwed up because you're incompetent. Just fix the fucking things so I can take them home and use them again. I don't know why owner even keeps you around. You are so useless. Me: yeah, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave my office so I can get back to work. I go back to working on things and EP grabs her stuff and storms out, slamming my door behind her. I get a call about 20 minutes later from the owner asking why EP was demanding I be fired. She had told him that I had laughed in her face and refused to help her. She even said I threatened to never help her with IT problems at work again because I was mad she called me out on being lazy. I explained what actually happened and offered to send owner a copy of the camera footage of that entire incident since there is a camera overlooking my entire office. Owner requested the footage, so I sent it to him. I get in the next day and I realize EP isn't there. I ask around and apparently owner called EP into his office and spoke with her about the incident. She tried to double down on her lies when owner showed her the footage, including audio, and caught her in the lie. He then offered to let her take some time off to cool her head before coming back into work, but that he'd expect her to make an apology to me for her behaviour. This enraged EP, who everyone could hear even through closed doors, and after screaming about how awful a person I was, she stormed out of the owner's office, grabbed her things and shouted, "I fucking quit," before leaving. So she's gone for good. Bitch was so unwilling to own up to her own poor behaviour and apologise to me that she threw away a cushy job making way more money than she is ever likely to make anywhere else around here. What a fucking idiot. On the plus side, without EP here constantly complaining, I am getting a bit more work done each day.